Hey everybody, welcome back to Lessons Learned, the podcast where we aim to turn our experiences into your wisdom. I'm Randy, here today with Chris, Jared, Joe, and Talon, and today we're going to be talking about dealing with the loss of friends and family.
Hey guys, so Chris here. So first off, if you've been following our journey for the past few episodes, me and Jared are back in Omaha.
Ooh, the good
Omaha.
life.
The
Omaha.
good life, which
Whack.
it is not.
Man, the air
Anyway,
smells like dog food. Come on.
Yeah, this. I miss New England. I want to go back right now,
Me
forever.
too, bro.
Omaha, where it smells like dog food right off F Street.
Yep. F's in the chat on F Street.
Ooh, get the
Hey.
t-shirt ready.
Yeah. So, also, if you've been following our first episode, I believe we talked about, it's been a little bit of a rough ride here for me, and we posted about some delays that were unexpected, and that's for a good reason, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that this episode. So, yeah. So, we went back home, we had everything squared away. We were going to drop our first episode when we were going to a few weeks ago. And then stuff kicked off. My grandfather, who is probably the closest person I have in my family and like my personal hero, started to decline really quickly.
He's one
So-
dope dude.
Yeah. And everyone that's met him loves the man. And we'll talk about it more throughout here. But basically what had happened was he had dementia really bad. And the last 2 weeks just declined super rapidly. So I feel like we want to talk about that today and how people can deal with that and deal with their emotions and get back on track as much as it sucks. I want to highlight some positive things that I did and some areas that I struggled a lot, and I'm sure I'm not the only one on this episode that can talk to stuff about that. But yeah, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to Talon and see if he's got any experiences with this.
Yeah, so I handled death weird, or at least I kind of see it as weird, just because I've never really like personally handled it as I think most normal people do. So the first time I think I ever realized like someone died in my life was probably like 5 or 6. My aunt passed away, my dad's sister, and the only thing that I remember is like I was in the car and like there's firefighters and everything like that, and it's like I was a kid, I didn't really comprehend it at the time. And then throughout my life, I've lost like my great grandmother, and then recently 2 years ago, I lost my grandfather. But like, I mean, that's kind of like how what I was talking about. Like, I don't really think I deal with death normally because like I didn't even get to go to his funeral because of work reasons and stuff like that. And I don't know, like I don't think I ever had like a grieving period or anything. So it's like I don't know, like maybe come like years down the road, maybe it'll, like stuff like this will just hit me like a bus in the face or something. But yeah, like I didn't really like grieve. It's not because I didn't love him or anything like that. I don't know. I feel like I just handled death weird.
Were you super close with him or anything, or
Yeah,
like
like,
how what
he
was your
was-
relationship with him?
Yeah, we were pretty close. Like it wasn't like he was my best friend or anything like that, but he was like my grandmother and that grandfather, they lived like 10 minutes away from us. Like every single weekend we got to go see them. So it's like I got to see them all the time as a kid. So I was just like, yeah. I don't know. Like, and then I joined the Air Force. Like I didn't see him. Like after I joined the Air Force, I probably only saw him like once or twice, like maybe once a year for like Christmas. And then I think it was like my 3rd or 4th year in the Air Force. And I think, 3rd year. That's when he passed away. And like I said, I didn't even get to go to his funeral or anything like that. So,
Jeez.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you this? Was it sudden, or was it kind of like something? I'm going to get into that part more when I talk about mine, but was it something that happened suddenly, or was it more like you kind of knew it was coming?
so kind of a mix. Like to some degree, it wasn't sudden. So we knew that he had like some health problems, but for the most part, like he was like he seemed fine. Like you would see him and it would be okay. There was like one point where he was like in the hospital for like a couple of weeks, but then he like went home and like it was like, oh yeah, he might be good for a while and stuff like that. And then it was kind of sudden. Like we knew that he had like some health issues and everything, but I mean, it wasn't like he didn't go in like hospice or anything like that. So it's not like we were just waiting around for a while or anything like that. It was kind of sudden when it
Right.
did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would prefer that.
Just sudden.
Yeah, just I mean,
it hits you a lot
I
harder.
don't know.
when
It's a
sudden.
double-edged sword, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with Joe. And like I said, I'll talk about that more when we get to my portion because I kind of have a little bit of experience with kind of both sides of that. So, yeah, I kind of feel like sudden is worse, honestly.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just for my example alone, like I said, I didn't get to go to his funeral or anything like that. I didn't get to see him very soon before it happened or anything either. So, and I don't recall. Yeah, like I don't know the last time I saw him before he did die actually. So it's just like if I knew if he was like in the hospital and it's just like yeah he only has so much time to live. It's like yeah I probably would have been able to see him like if there was
Yeah.
more notice.
Like
per
it was
se.
almost like you knew, but you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like he probably like it's just like he has some like health concerns and everything, but it's like I can't just like drop everything right now just because like
Yeah.
oh he has like this one thing. So it's just like I don't know. Yeah.
Do you feel like you regret that you didn't get to go see him, or kind of know
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Most certainly.
So for the people listening, that I mean, if you can go, do it.
go and
Yeah.
don't take
What
your
you're
time
saying.
for granted either because
Yeah.
that's again something I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, just like I most certainly regret it because like for me, I was gonna go visit him and basically like it was, I had some work stuff going on and I was just like, oh, I can't go like today because I'm busy with something else, and it's just like I'll wait till next week kind of situation because it was like I said, it wasn't like a pressing matter, so I was like I'll wait till next week, and guess what? That's the time when he passed away. Like in that process of me waiting, like he passed away like a couple of days before my plane tickets. So
Yeah, right.
because like I said, like I was just like, oh, I'll just wait till next week because it wasn't a pressing thing. So
Yeah, so I can talk about that because I was going almost the exact same situation, right? So my grandpa hadn't been doing very well this whole year. You know, like my grandma's showering him and like, you know, doing the work for two people in life. And that's very difficult. It was hard to watch. And one, you know, I feel guilty not being home because I can't. My job is here. My life is here. And like, I wish I was there to be able to help her, you know? But so I get the news that like, he's not doing well. He's back in the hospital again. You know, he probably won't last much longer. So I had leave scheduled 2 weeks later. I was going to be home in 2 weeks. And I was like, man, do I really want to wait? And then I thought about it. I was like, my grandpa would be the first person to be there for me. Like, he wouldn't even hesitate. So I texted work. I said, hey, I'm on the next flight out of here. I'll see ya. And they said, all right, you do you, man. Have fun. We'll worry about leave and everything when you get back, which is super helpful. And I know not everybody in the military gets to do that. However, our squadron is very good at that. And so I'm super thankful for that. So, you know, I paid whatever the money it cost to get that plane ticket home. I went home the very next day, and I got to see him. And so, like, the point you're making is if you can go home, just do it, because you'll get that last memory that you'll cherish forever. Because I got to go home, and he recognized me, and we interacted for, like, 2 days, and then he finally passed away. But, like, I'll be forever thankful that I got that time with him, you know?
yeah. And even if it's not for you, like also just like think about on the other side, like for them, it's just like they got to see you one more time. Like
Yeah.
imagine
exactly, while they still can.
imagine if the sides were flipped. Like you would want someone to go out of their way to come visit you.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
it also
And
made
it's
it a
super
lot
nice. I
easier
know-
on our family to watch us come in and, you know, be supportive in that time as well. And
Yeah, and it's yeah, like Joey says, it's also for your whole family. Like, you can help. Like, I knew my grandma's gonna need help. She's a strong woman, but she's gonna need help. So I wanted to go home and just be there for her as well. Sorry, Joe, to cut you off.
no, you're good.
But yeah, so definitely, money's not an object in things like this. I mean, depending on how close you are, but my grandpa was like I said, I was super, super close to
Yeah.
him.
But I
So that hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, I will
But-
also say that in those situations, it is also important not to, if you are found in that position where you don't get to see a loved one before they pass, don't beat yourself up over it, because it's one of those things that, like, it's going to hurt you knowing that you didn't get to see them in their last, you know, bit of time. But it just makes it a whole lot worse on you if you just continuously beat yourself up over it. And then sometimes it's some things that you can't even control. Like maybe
Yeah, right. Like, had work said I can't go, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have drove home for at least a weekend or something. I would have drove the 18 hours home, but yeah, you can't beat yourself up over it. Wow, there it is.
Nice
me
words.
not being able to
Good
talk
job.
again. Heyo.
Chris knows words.
Heyo. Yeah, but it's yeah, like Talon's case. Like, I mean, you weren't able to go home, man. So it's like, it's not on you. So now all you can do is cherish the moments you did have, and relive the good moments that you had.
Yeah, exactly. Like Joe said, you can't beat yourself up over it because really, like, what are you gonna do? Like, the moment's passed. You can't do anything about it. So
hindsight is always 20/20.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So Randy, we talked about my grandpa a little bit, and I'll touch back on it with some stories and stuff. But let's hear about your experiences and what we can learn from what you did and what went through.
Yeah. So the big reason that I say that I think I want to go back to when we were saying about whether it was kind of worse sudden or kind of them being sick for a while or something. I would say I think it was worse when it was sudden. So I had all four of my biological grandparents are dead now. 3 of the 4 were sick for a long time. And then the fourth one being the most recent one, my grandmother, actually, it's almost kind of ironic we're doing this today because I think tomorrow will be 1 year from when she passed away.
That's rough.
She was sudden, and that to me sucked so much more because my other grandparents, like, they were sick, I was kind of prepared for it. And then when they did pass, it was kind of like, all right, this has been a long time coming. It's, in a way, it's better because now they're not suffering anymore. When my grandmother passed last October, it was very sad. Like, I actually had seen her like 2 days before. She was at our house, and then what actually happened, and something that I regret from that situation, I mean, there's not any way I could have known this was going to happen, but she was over, and I didn't know she was coming over, and I had plans that night, so I only spent a little while with her, and then I left. And then, thinking to myself, oh, I'll see her again soon, and then that wasn't the case. But anyway, so she ended up falling. There was some kind of complication with it. She came home from the hospital and probably shouldn't have, and then the next morning they had found her, she had passed. And that was really, really difficult. And I wanted to talk, like, what I really wanted to touch on more than anything was what helped me kind of deal with it. So I chose to go to work. I was actually off from work the day it happened. I chose to go to work the next day. And I mainly did it because I just wanted to try and, like, keep my mind off of it. And I went to work, and I was just having a horrible day. Like, no matter what I did, it was just, like, kept crossing my mind, and I felt like shit. And I know I mentioned, a few times already throughout this podcast that baseball is a big part of my life and always has been. And I think a few of our patients at work could tell something was wrong. And, of course, it being October, that's playoff baseball. So, a couple of patients came up to me. They started talking, hey, what'd you think of that game last night? Like, what'd you think of the Yankee game? What'd you think of the Dodger game? And, we just got talking about it. And next thing I know, like, I felt a lot better. Like, I got talking about something that I love and something that I'm passionate about. And I kind of, like, the thought even crossed my mind, like, hey, like, I actually kind of feel good right now in this moment. So a lot of, dealing with it is also, like, finding ways to almost be distracted from it. And, like, not saying that you shouldn't grieve over it, but you also need those distractions because you can't grieve 24/7. Like, you'll drive yourself insane. You'll drive yourself into depression.
Yeah. You need to find those little moments of joy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even if it was a 10 or 15 minute conversation, even if it was a 5-minute conversation, like, it was 5 minutes, I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah. And, so my whole year's kind of been like that is, I hit another rough patch earlier on in the year. It's been a real shit year for me, that we'll talk about in future episodes. And since then, dude, I've been a yes man, not like yes, like brown nosing someone, like doing whatever they ask. But
what's brown nosing mean?
You. No, but like if someone's like, do you want to go out? You want to go hang out? I was like, yeah, like absolutely. Like I'm not doing anything. So to me, like this entire year, I've been so busy. I'm playing hockey like 3 times a week, going biking, the gym, work barely, but you know.
So yeah, you're doing all these things that
Yeah.
make you happy.
So yeah, well, not even necessarily happy, just like keeping busy. So then when I went home, you know, my grandfather whole situation happened. Obviously, those few days sucked really bad. But you know, I kept busy. I mowed the lawn for my grandma. I did stuff around the house for her, and just kept busy that way. And then when I wasn't with her, I was with my college buddies, going down to the beach and just drinking, having a good time. And people might be like, "Well, how could you do that? You should be grieving." Not really. I mean, everyone deals with it different, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's what
I
wanted to
had
touch
my
on.
grieving time, and I split it, and then I went and had fun to try and relieve myself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And then we traveled New England.
Yeah, so after my grandpa had passed, me and Rumsey, well, I had a wedding. This was really shitty, too, is that my best friend Brandon got married, so I had a viewing on Friday, a wedding that I was best man in on Saturday, so I had to give a speech and everything. And then Sunday, another viewing, and then funeral on Monday.
I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah, so my mental state, I had to flip a switch, man. Like, it was difficult,
Oh,
but
man.
I needed it.
That
And
was
it,
such
it
like,
actually worked.
That was such like a roller coaster of emotion because I went to the second viewing with Chris. I actually drove Chris back up from Delaware, and it was like, you know, we had this wedding the night before. We had a blast. Like, it was so much fun. We were all drinking and like hanging out, and then, you know, not only to like get up 4 hours later hungover as shit, but then, you know, and make that drive, but then to know what we were making that drive for, it just made it so much worse. Like, it made it suck so much. And I knew Chris's grandfather, and he was an awesome guy. So I mean, I can't say it hit me nearly as hard as like Chris or Joe, but like I felt bad too because he was a great man and like, you know, a great person the world lost.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, you know, roller coaster of emotions, I came back down to Delaware, made the drive back, and then I picked up Rumsey from Philly, and then I told myself, all right, you know, like, I dealt with that, he's gone, I've done what I can, now I'm going to try and enjoy life, because he would want me to be happy. So me and Jared made that whole 2-week trip, almost 2 weeks, just New England, all over, like, one night in a new place every day. It was so fun.
Yeah. Like nomads.
Yeah,
It's so relaxing.
There was no dull moment because you get to one place, you do some hikes, you sleep in a hotel the next night. Next morning, you're on your way to somewhere else doing another hike, and then in a whole nother city. And it was so much fun, and keeping that busy really, really helped me. So I think my advice to anyone going through a rough time losing somebody is find something you enjoy. Like, have your grieving moments, right? But then find something you enjoy and just, you know, take yourself out of the world. Just go do you, do what you love, and immerse yourself in that, and then you will come out feeling so much better on the other end.
Yeah. Because on the flip side, if you don't find something positive, something that you love to do, then you're going to find something toxic to get into.
Hey, Jared,
You're
as
gonna
we're
be
still talking
drinking.
about their grandfather, maybe Joe wants to talk about it, something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what was failed to mention was that I was involved in all of this too. Don't worry.
Yeah,
You
Chris's
could have
brother,
rode home
yeah.
with us. We offered it.
I drove
Oh, yeah.
myself.
Joey was also hungover and drove himself.
Yeah, no worries. I wasn't there the entire
Idiot.
time. It's cool. But no, I have a story to tell and everything on top of that. So
Great.
I'll pass it back to Jared, then I'll come back to me here.
Oh, no, man. You go ahead.
Go ahead,
I
Schmo.
didn't
Take
really
the
have
floor.
anything.
It's all you,
Yeah.
buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, so I think I've mentioned it a little bit on these podcasts so far, but death has honestly and sadly become part of my life recently. So normally in the Air Force, I do maintenance. I fix jets, but I'm on a 6-month rotation where they sent me to a thing called Honor Guard, which is where we do military honors for funerals. So for all the veterans and retirees that pass away, we go out there and we do a ceremony and present the flag to the people who lost their loved ones that were prior service. So from what I've learned from that is that everyone handles death differently. and like I get to see it firsthand pretty much every single day now. I go to funerals all, between Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, all that stuff. And I kind of see some people, are joking about it, they're laughing about it, they're having a good time, they're in memories. And then there's times I go to funerals where these people are bawling their eyes out. And everyone handles it differently, and I think when you're put in that position, you figure out which kind of person you are. Normally, people see me, I'm an optimist, so I handled death by...
Optimist Prime.
Nice. I'm able to like really brush death off my shoulders, and I make jokes about it and I laugh because normally the people that I see go, they wouldn't want me to be, sad. Of course you're gonna miss them that they're gone, but you can't let it overtake your life and everything like that. I actually just recently had a friend pass away just before my grandfather passed away. So
yeah, you've had a busy few weeks here.
Yeah, it's been a bit rough.
Not in the fun
so
way.
Yeah, now one of my friends, I've known him for about 2 years. He was training for the military. I've known him since I was in Charleston, which is about 2 years ago now. And he came to Dover. We were both stationed at Dover together. I didn't really hang out with him too much while he was here, but of course, we would always hang it out. Every time we saw each other, we bonded. It was nice. And we joked around about the gym a lot. And lo and behold, when I got to Honor Guard, he was there and he was actually a trainer. So he was training me for Honor Guard. And I believe it was the last day of the first week I was there in training. So it was that Friday. I was there. I saw him. He was, we were joking around. We made a joke about me not doing leg day before I left. And
never skip leg day.
What else is new?
Always
skips leg day.
Always skip leg day, dude. True,
Nerd.
Bro. True, bro. But yeah, so I had seen him then, and we left. We left for the day. We were done. We were about to go to the weekend, and I was actually in the process of getting this rental on the house I'm in currently. And I pick up the keys from my landlord, and I'm on the way back to my friend's house to take care of some stuff with him. And as I'm driving down this road, I look off to the side. Whole bunch of emergency vehicles, ambulances, the whole 9 yards were there. And I'm like, oh shit, must have been a bad accident, something like that. Come to find out, the very next day, I get a text from my shop, my Honor Guard. They told me to come in for a mandatory meeting. I'm like, I don't know what that's about. My friend ends up calling me about an hour later. He asked if he had seen my friend. He's like, asked if I had seen his motorcycle. And I'm like, nah, he normally drives his truck to work. And he's like, yeah, well, apparently someone from his hometown, he labeled his hometown, age, everything, had apparently someone from Dover Airman passed away. And I kind of like put two and two together. I'm like, oh shit, that's him. And we got there. I got to the meeting, and they confirmed it that he had passed away. And it hit like a truck. It was tough. Never saw it coming. He was a great dude, always positive. And I saw some of my close friends just break down because we all end up going down to his funeral in North Carolina. And, they played taps and did the 21 gun salute for him. And all my friends just broke down there. And I was there just trying to be supportive. It was a rough time.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you drove past it. And,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep, I saw it. It like hit me it hit me that day or that next day. I'm like, wow, I really passed his accident and didn't know it was him.
Wow.
You know what though?
That's rough.
You need people like how you were at the funeral. You need people like that there though.
Right. So yeah, my friends were crying like me. It definitely brought some tears to my eyes, but I was able to relatively hold it together. I think the shittiest part of this story was that it didn't involve me. But him and another dude in Honor Guard became best friends while they were there. And that guy made the friend who passed away the best man at his wedding, which was the very next day. It was that Saturday. He died on Friday. Yeah.
Jesus.
No way.
Dude, they canceled the wedding for him, and the guy went down to North Carolina and presented the flag to his parents. So it was very touching. Yeah, it was awful.
That's awesome that he did that, though.
Yeah, it was very nice. Again, that's kind of like one of those things of advice, take advantage of that. because I know it meant a lot to the family. And like obviously, there's not too many people that are going to find themselves in that position, but just take care of each other in those situations because it's a very tough time for some people, and other people handle it differently than others.
That
So
takes
how
some.
did you?
That takes some
Go ahead,
mental
Talon.
strength from that guy though, because he
Oh.
lost his best friend, canceled his wedding, went to the funeral. Yeah, like that took some strength right there.
Absolutely, I had a massive amount of respect for him in doing that.
Yeah. So how did you guys, as a whole, like your whole honor guard team, I guess, how did you bounce back, and how are you moving forward?
We all stay positive. The guy in charge of NCOIC, he put up a star in the middle of the room in memory of him. And, we came in that following week, and, there were some people who were still like really beat up over it, like some of the closer friends to him. They were definitely hurt, and the rest of us really kind of like came together and were just supportive of them in that time, and helped them out. We took him out. I think we did some drinking. I think the past following two or three weekends, like we had parties and memories. Like all of my friends were drinking for this guy. They were pouring him out for the homies.
Pouring them out for the homies.
Yeah, pour 'em out. Damn.
I'd pour
But
one
yeah,
out, but
that's
I'm in my
rough,
room
man.
and I don't want to ruin my carpet.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Pretty
take
good.
up a long amount of time, but I know I did. But it was just one of those stories I really wanted to share.
No, I mean that's it's all about stories and experiences, so people now know like what you went through, and then a few weeks later, Grandpa passed. So, I
Exactly.
mean, it's
And that was
just
one of
like-
those. Yeah. And I was watching him struggle with dementia for like the year straight from there. And I know obviously you weren't around because you couldn't be because of your work, but I would go up and visit whenever I could. They only lived 30 minutes away. And just like watching his mental state deteriorate. And like for me, that was one of those situations where I knew it was coming. So it was kind of like easier to process. But it's in the end, like it still hurts, and you're just glad that you could have been around for them.
I think I was struggling more, like when Mom had called me and said, "Hey, Pop's probably not going to make it much longer."
Yes, that hit me. very
I
bad.
lost it, dude. Like, I didn't talk to anyone for a few days. I played hockey. I wasn't there.
Right.
So my head was elsewhere. I was on the ice skating, and I was just like, dude, what the fuck? But I scored a goal, and I did I played. It was just a drop-in game, nothing special, but it felt nice to score a goal, and like feel like I did it for him. And then man, I don't know. I'm more at peace knowing he's not struggling, and knowing that Grandma is now, not having to deal with all of that.
Yeah, it was a
And
lot of
she's gonna-
stress.
Yeah, I mean, she was married for 62 years, guys, to my
That's
grandpa.
incredible.
She got married
Yeah,
at 17.
crazy.
So,
Wow.
so I told my grandma, me and her will be single this year together. So,
She did
Yeah.
awesome with it too. Like she was talking to me. She was asking me more how I was doing. I'm like, how are you doing?
Yeah, right.
both of them were just like, don't worry about us. What's up with you?
Yeah.
Like, how can we help
Yeah,
you?
they would put themselves they would help out anyone over themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for
that's
sure.
what, like growing up, I spent more time with, I think, my grandparents than I did with my own family, like my parents. I would always bike over. They lived on the other side of town, so I just ride my bike over there, hang out with them. They taught me countless lessons in life.
Lessons
so for that,
learned,
I'm
be like
super
Doug.
thankful. Yeah, yeah, be
Memory.
like Doug.
There's
But
a shirt.
yeah, so I mean, like, I guess the whole point of this episode is to move forward and like take your time to grieve, but don't let it haunt you, and don't
Yeah.
drown in misery. Like, find stuff you love and do that stuff.
Right. Right. And that was actually just to kind of bring that back around as well. I was in high school when my grandmother passed away. And again, that one wasn't quite as my other grandmother, I should say. That one wasn't quite as traumatic as this one recently, because that was kind of like a long time coming and she was sick for a while. But even still, it still sucks. Like, nothing changes the fact that it sucks. And it was during the summer. I had a baseball game the next day, and my parents and my coaches were like, you don't have to play. And I was like, no, I want to play. Like, I want to play more now.
Yeah.
And I ended up playing. I had a great game. I remember I was like 2 for 4 with like 2 doubles and a couple RBIs. Like, you know, it was awesome. And it was such a great way, like, to just kind of release some of like the stress and like the anger and sadness.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like you want to prove to them that like you can still be there, and you want to like work for something, like have a reason to play well that day.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of makes you feel like somebody's watching over you that day too.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that you mentioned, Chris, is, you know, and I think Randy, well, pretty much everyone deals with loss in a different way. And I think it also depends on, you know, how old you are and how mature you are at the time of, you know, experiencing this loss.
Yeah.
Like for me, I haven't lost anyone recently. I mean, thank God. But I lost my grandma. She actually had dementia, and she passed when I was about 12 years old. And, you know, that was difficult. You know, she was also dealing with that for months. And she was in our house under hospice care, and it was hard watching her, you know, fade in and out of, you know, a conscious state of mind. She would be fine one minute, and then the next minute she wouldn't know where she was or anything. And it was really difficult. But I was also young, and I didn't really have a strong connection with her. You know, because I was just a young skateboarder kid. All I cared about was myself.
We gotta show the world your hair. Oh my god.
Oh gosh. The hair.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, my hair was past my shoulders.
Cringe.
I wore the baggy pants, the skull cap beanie.
hell
and everything.
yeah.
And you know what? He tried to relive his glory days skating a few
He
weeks
was
ago
a
before
skater
the whole
boy.
trip.
Oh no.
Sprained his ankle. He's too freaking old now.
I sprained my ankle. Yeah, I'm getting old.
User.
What a geezer.
But so the funny thing about dealing with loss when you're younger is I realized about 10 years later when, you know, this was about 2 years ago, I really started to reflect on loss of friends and family, and I started to think about my grandma a lot. And then my sister actually happened to message me and say that she was going to send me something in the mail, so she needed my address. And a couple weeks later, I get my grandma's life journal in the mail. She printed off a copy for me.
Wow.
And I guess like in the last year or two of her life, she wrote down her life journal. And that really helped me really connect with her on another level. And
wow, that's awesome.
it was weird because, you know, if you ask, you know, people ask you like, if you could talk to one person from the past or like one famous person or someone who's no longer here, who would you talk to? And I like now I almost always like immediately say my grandma. And I feel like though I didn't have a strong connection with her when I was younger, I still spent a lot of time there, and you know, she's still part of my family, and I saw all my family members go through it. And I wish I did have a stronger connection with her. So how I deal with that now is I just try to be the best person I can be, and, you know, try to do things in her memory. Because she was, after reading that journal, we have a lot in common, and she was really a great person.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never thought about that. Is like writing down. I mean, that's your legacy, right? You could put your life on paper.
Well, hey,
for us,
it's 2020.
we're gonna have this recording.
We have the recording.
Like, we're gonna have
we're
gonna have MP3 files for people to listen to about us. Like down the road,
right.
people will hear our voices, and I think that's awesome. I think that's very important to pass on.
Yeah, I mean, you just think about like just a lot of people probably just see as like just a single person, like if they didn't have like a huge impact on the world, but like just imagine like their life over all their years, like how much experience and everything that one person has had. Like just imagine
Dare
putting
you
that
say-
on like a paper.
How many lessons had they learned?
Oh, he said the thing in the thing.
Yeah, like I know, like for me, like I mean, even like my grandparents that are still alive, it's kind of hard to to go like talk to like my grandpa and be like, hey, like tell me like what your childhood was like and stuff like that. Like it's just kind of a weird conversation to have, but like honestly, I wish that I knew that information, just because it's like there's so much knowledge in just like one person's mind of just like everything that's happened throughout their life.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
it's super important. Like, ask those questions. You know, you don't know what you don't know, and like you could have a family member or a close friend that can just tell you one little tidbit of information that makes your life that much easier. And you know, that's what we're trying to do here on this podcast. So to me, that's super important. So you know, we talked about today, just you know, move forward. It's important not to just be stuck in a cloud, like your head is elsewhere. If you need someone to talk to, reach out. That's you know, I can't stress that enough. Is you know, any mental state, you need to reach out. You need to get help, whether it's friends, family, professionals. You know, like don't be afraid to reach out, because I was there. I was at that point. I reached out to a bunch of friends, and the support I had will never be forgotten. Like it was awesome. So yeah, so just move forward, do what you enjoy, have your time in grieving, but like move forward in life and take time off. Just, you know, isolate yourself from the negative stressors in your life for about a week, and just, you know, go on a hike, go in nature. To me, nature is the most soothing thing there is in the world, and that's what I did, and that's how I came out of this a lot stronger.
All right, guys, this has been Lessons Learned. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and go follow our other social media pages linked in the description. From all of us here at Lessons Learned, have a good day and see ya!